Today's lesson is going to be on the area rule. Now, we all remember how to find the area when we have a right angle triangle, and that is area is equal to half base times height. And base and height are basically from the two legs of our triangle. However, we need to know what to do when we have a triangle that is not right angled. And that's where the area rule comes into play. So this is the rule. The area of triangle ABC is half A times B times sine of C. Or we could say B times C times sine of A. Or we could say half of A times C times sine of B. So notice we need to have two sides and the angle that they make. All right, so that's called the contained angle, meaning the angle the two sides form is called your contained angle. So let's practice applying that. So here's a really simple one. I've got my two sides and the angle. We want to find the area of this triangle. So we're going to write it out. So area is half, and so now we have 10 times 8 times sine of 79. And that will give us an area of 39.27. And if we were given units, so if, for example, we were given centimeters, then we would put here centimeters squared. If we don't give any units, then what we do is we just say units squared. We could also have scenarios where instead of asking for the area, we give you the area and now we want a certain property of the triangle. So here we are told that the area is 25 centimeters squared. And we are being asked to find the value of theta. So we can see that we have both sides, or two sides, and the angle that they contain, and that's the angle we're trying to find. So those are all of the things we need to use the area rule. So now that we know the area, we're going to say 25 is equal to half 8 times 12, and then we have sine of theta. And so theta is what we are looking for. So we're going to do this in just a few steps, not too many, but just a few steps. And what we're going to have is we're first just going to multiply by 2. So because we have times a half means dividing by 2. So we'll multiply by 2, and that's going to give us 50. And then these two aspects, 8 and 12, are what we're going to divide by. So notice I'm not even bothering working those things out. I'm just going to write all that, and that is equal to sine of theta. And now to find theta, we're going to say theta is equal to inverse sine for 8 times 12. And then remember, you're going to use your calculator. Please make sure that you are in degree mode. Otherwise, your answers are all going to be off. So 50 divided by 8 times 12. And that will give us 31 degrees. Now remember, with angles, we generally are always just going to go to the nearest whole number. I just want to change a couple of these things here. Okay, so here, given the area of the triangle is 34 meters squared, determine the length of x. So in this scenario, instead of having the length, instead of having both lengths and looking for an angle, we have one length, one angle, and we're looking for the other length. And again, we have that relationship of two sides and the angle they form. So we don't have to do any extra work. We can just go straight to applying the area rule. And we know the area, and that's important. And that's why it's so important to work with the diagram you get as well as the words. Because if we just looked at the diagram, we would not know anything other than that we have an unknown length, an angle, and then another side. We need to read the description of the actual question to realize they've given us the area. Okay? Okay, so we're going to put this in. 34 is equal to a half times 8 times x times sine of 59. So here we need to isolate x. And remember, because we have timesing by a half, that means that we're dividing by 2. So we're going to multiply that by 2. So that's 68 divided by 8 times sine of 59 will give us our unknown, which is x. So again, we're just going to put all of that into our calculator. And for here, we'll go to 2 decimal places. And they have given us units of meters, so we know that this is going to be 9.92 meters. Now, when it comes to rounding, if the question does not stipulate where to round, my advice is always go to 2 decimal places to be safe. But always just check, because in an assignment or in a test, sometimes you will get your rounding instructions right at the beginning. So there won't be instructions for every question. They will just tell you instructions right at the beginning. But my rule of thumb is just always go to 2 decimal places. Okay, and that is the area rule.